This is the Cowboy State Daily Morning Show with Jake. The new way Wyoming wakes up.
It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming. From the Cowboy State Daily Newsroom, I'm Wendy Core. The vehicular homicide trial for Haitian truck driver accused of killing a Wyoming EMT while driving on a New York commercial driver's license started Thursday in Green River. Prosecutors accused Saviol St. Jean of recklessly plowing a commercial truck into two emergency medical personnel who were responding to a crash on I-80 3 years ago, killing one and severely injuring the other. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland was in court for day one of the trial.
The defense is really positing this idea that this was just a chaotic scene, whereas the prosecutor is emphasizing, here's how well other truckers reacted, here's how well other drivers reacted.
The trial is ongoing Friday and into next week. A drilling rig in Sweetwater County punched through nearly 3.5 miles of Wyoming rock, reaching a total vertical depth of nearly 18,500 feet to complete what's now the deepest Class 6 carbon storage well ever drilled in the U.S. The Sweetwater Carbon Storage Hub, a collaboration between the University of Wyoming School of Energy Resources and Frontier Infrastructure Holdings, successfully completed drilling operations for its second deep characterization well last week. Cowboy State Daily's David Madison explains why this matters.
Carbon capture has been a priority of the University of Wyoming and industry in Wyoming to get CO2 out of the atmosphere so it can't contribute to climate change and to reduce the carbon footprint of private industry. Now, why go so deep? Well, because it's proven that gases and liquids can be trapped there for millions and millions of years. And so we take them out when we pull oil and other resources out of the ground. Well, now through this well, we'll be putting CO2 back down there.
The partners described the accomplishment as a key milestone in advancing commercial-scale carbon sequestration in Wyoming. The first operational Minuteman III silo has been taken offline to make way for a $141 billion upgrade to Sentinel missiles, a huge milestone for the nation's nuclear modernization project. The decommissioned silo, located at F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, is a key step in the Air Force's plan to modernize the land-based portion of America's nuclear arsenal. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports that all M3 missiles will be replaced with a modernized LGM-35A Sentinel, which is being led by prime contractor Northrop Grumman.
Decommissioning this silo, that's an opportunity for them to figure out, hey, are there parts of this that we can keep and reuse? What's the best way to do this? What's the best way to build a new one and get the new missile in place?
The military will continue to meet all ICBM alert requirements for U.S. Strategic Command and the President throughout construction of the Sentinel program. I'll be back with more news right after this.
Wyoming families face big challenges and big opportunities. That's why Wyoming Family Alliance is hosting the 4th annual Wyoming Family Policy Summit on September 26th and 27th in Cheyenne. The summit opens Friday night with a gala featuring Congresswoman Harriet Hagman. On Saturday, state and national policy leaders will address pressing family issues such as parental rights, DEI in schools, and more. Reserve your seat today at wyomingfamily.org. That's wyomingfamily.org.
Former University of Wyoming Cowboys quarterback Josh Allen, the current NFL MVP, led Wyoming to 2 consecutive 8-win seasons, a Mountain West Championship game appearance in 2016, and 2 bowl games. On November 22nd, Allen will return to War Memorial Stadium for the first time since his 2018 Pro Day to watch his number 17 jersey officially be retired at halftime of Wyoming's game against Nevada. Cowboy State Daily's David Madison reports that the ceremony will mark the first official jersey retirement in Cowboys football history.
I spoke to a few close watchers. They recalled some of the great moments. The time that Josh Allen threw what appeared to be a pick six, that he had lit his team down. Well, most quarterbacks would have given up, but Josh Allen actually ran this defender down, hit him so hard that he fumbled the ball into the end zone, thereby creating a touchback and getting the ball back for the Cowboys. So it's moments like that folks are reminiscing about right now.
Over his college career, Allen accounted for 5,833 yards of total offense yards and 57 touchdowns. He was drafted 7th overall by the Buffalo Bills in 2018, Wyoming's highest ever draft pick, and won the 2024 NFL MVP award. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by clicking on the daily newsletter button at cowboystatedaily.com. I'm Wendy Core for Cowboy State Daily.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. Those 9 months were also 273 days of planning. What about your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. And let's not forget those barbecues you plan in detail for your family and your more vegetarian by the day best friends. That surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Good morning. It's finally Friday, and we're the Cowboy State Daily Show. Trial starts for the Haitian trucker accused of plowing into a crash scene in a horrific accident that killed an EMT that was working there. Josh Allen's number going to be rightfully retired by the Wyoming Cowboys, number 17, the first and maybe only number to be retired by the brown and gold. Trump's offshore wind crackdown has some in Wyoming worried about the implications for wind power future in the Cowboy State. The $2 million Powerball winning ticket was sold in Wyoming in Rock Springs. We don't know who bought it. We don't know who the winner is, but we know who it isn't. The clerk that we called. She was rather short with our reporter. The first decommissioned Minuteman III silo at F.E. Warren Air Force Base. It's going to make way for the new Sentinel missiles. Don't worry, we're still going to have 400 missiles ready at any given time. We'd have more, but the treaty signed says we can't have more than 400. Also, a Gillette company has drilled deeper into the earth than we ever thought possible. No, we did not hit China, but we got close. Down to the, what's the science fiction movie? Is it a Jules Verne, Journey to the Center of the Earth? We went to the center of the earth thanks to this Gillette drilling company. Journey to the Center of the Earth. It's been redone, but I like the original, 1959. Who is in the remake is dreadful, right? 2008. 1959, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Great movie. And starring Pat Boone, James Mason. Yeah, we went to the center of the earth with a 3-mile drilling, specialty drilling done by this Gillette company we're going to look into. State of Wyoming's investment in DraftKings. I didn't know this. Yesterday, I talked to a high-ranking DraftKings rep, and I should have asked her, do you know the state of Wyoming invests in you guys? State of Wyoming owns about 2,326 shares in DraftKings. It was in 2021 the state said that DraftKings was okay to work in Wyoming and online gambling was okay via DraftKings in Wyoming. That was signed by Governor Mark Gordon on April 5th, 2021, legalizing gambling in Wyoming, online sports wagering. And then I guess Wyoming immediately went out and bought, was so pro gambling, was so positive about the future of gambling. Wyoming went out and bought over 2,000 shares in the company. Wyoming now owns 110 grand plus in DraftKings stock. How about that? We'll check in with the latest on the Dollar Lake fire, Willow Creek fire, see how they're doing. Congresswoman Harriet Hageman is helping President Trump wage war on Washington. Not wage war, actually clean it up, right? Washington, the city, we've known for a while, it's a cesspool, along with Chicago and some other cities that just can't get it together. And Representative Hageman is helping Trump clean things up there in Washington, D.C. as far as crime. That man who took a joyride or stole a car, I don't know what his intent was with the car. He didn't have a home, so maybe that was, he wanted that car to be his home. But it had a baby in the back. Darn, you hate when that happens. You're making your getaway Grand Theft Auto. You're doing a Fast and Furious thing, or you're playing a video game in your mind. You think yourself a real bad guy. You steal a car. And then you hear crying in the back seat. Sounds like the beginning of a movie. 3 Men and a Baby or something. But yeah, the baby's in the back. So what do? Well, you abandon the car and run away. This guy's getting 8 to 10 years in prison. Not for the car theft. Car theft today gets you a slap on the wrist. That's nothing. He's getting 8 to 10 for abduction, right? What do you call it when you steal a person? Although the sentence may be reduced, he got 8 to 10 for kidnapping. That's what I'm looking for. Yes, because this was a kid, a baby. 29-year-old Fremont County man accidentally, I would say inadvertently, stole a 3-month-old baby when he took a running vehicle out of a Riverton apartment complex back in February. He drove about 4 miles before he heard the crying in the back. This isn't February, so it's cold. And he panicked and he jumped out of the car and took off, left the baby. They got the baby within, I think, 10 minutes. It wasn't in the cold car for long. Cops found the car, found the baby. This guy's doing 8 to 10, but if he goes and gets treatment and goes through the right programs, he might get out earlier. And, oh yeah, I still want to talk about Dallas Smith, who starts fires when he has to pay rent. We barely touched on that yesterday. And let's do the weather. It is Friday, finally Friday. Going to have a little bit of a weather change this weekend into next week. Going to get a little cooler. Sunny, high near 70 today in Casper. Already cooler in Casper. I mean, that's a bit of a difference from earlier in the week. Riverton, 73, sunshine. Patchy smoke at Evanston, a high of 76. Might see even rain in the afternoon in Evanston. Smoky, sunny and breezy in Green River, high 79. Areas of smoke in Pinedale, 74, otherwise mostly sunny. Smoke and sun mix in Alpine with a high of 84. DuBois, smoke will start floating into your place around 1 o'clock, otherwise high 69. Jackson, 79, sunny and smoky. Thermopolis, sunshine and 73. Cody, sunny and 70. Powell, 72 with abundant sunshine. Buffalo, sunny, 65. That's coolish. And that reflects that Canadian cold front. Sheridan, sunny, 69 today. Gillette, sunshine, 64 the high. Newcastle, sunny and 63. Becoming sunny in Torrington with a high of 71. Wheatland, you'll start clearing up today and reach 68 for a high. Cheyenne, mostly sunny, 64. That's cool for a high. in early September, coolish, 66, smoky and sunny in Laramie. Areas of smoke and sunny, 68 in Rollins. That's the day weather forecast. We'll get Don Day in here later in the show, talk to him live and see what kind of effect the weather is going to have on these fires as Greg Johnson checks in and gives us the latest update on the Dollar Lake fire, which is now knocking on the door of Square Top, which is not a big deal. Square Top, the mountain, is just rock and granite, and, it can't burn. It's not burning. But I'm looking at the photo. What is threatened here is that really nice campground on the south end, the southwest end of Green River Lakes. Green River Lakes, those two lakes, you can portage, you can take your canoe all the way down the one lake. I don't know if they call it Lower Green River or not. That's what I would call it. And I'm looking at the photo now. You can see all the smoke coming out of the right side of the lake. Rugged country this fire is burning in. And that campground is right there at the bottom of the photo courtesy of the Wyoming Type 3 Incident Management Team. 16,000 acre Dollar Lake fire, about 40 miles north of Pinedale, but in a somewhat popular camping area. That campground south at the southern end of Green River Lake, the bigger one. Then you can canoe that or float that all the way down the other end. You got a portage there a little bit and you get into the other lake, which is really remote. And then you're sitting in that one Green River Lake looking up at Square Top. It's great. What a great scene, great place to camp. But that is burning up. Man, firefighters doing what they can, but even the best of the best hotshots say, no way. In fact, that's exactly what they said. Absolutely not. Right now, they're trying to keep the fire from jumping down in there into Porcupine drainage, which separates it's headed towards Porcupine Pass, which is kind of right between Little Sheep Mountain and Big Sheep Mountain. That's where most of the fire growth is happening, down in the southeast part of the fire. It's coming down Porcupine drainage in the wilderness. Nasty, steep, heavily forested area. So steep that hotshot crews on the ground, who are the best of the best, said Hayner. I think Hayner is one of the PIOs on this fire, right? He said even these hotshot crews are the best of the best. They're saying absolutely not when talking about being dropped in that area, deployed in that area. Just not worth it. It'll be another 7 to 10 days of fire is expected to string its way down Porcupine Pass. And he said, we just cannot pick up a good line yet. Cannot put up a line of defense on Porcupine Pass. 31% containment from the team, 500 personnel working on that fire, and it is throwing smoke. That's Incident Commander Rich Hayner, who talked to folks in the community on Wednesday night during a meeting, giving the latest update. The rain help that we had recently, that slowed things down, but the fire's picking right back up. Don Day's had a few dry days down there with lots of wind, and that thing's probably going to make another run here today. I'd like to get the latest update. I'll bet it's growing, but yeah, that stubborn Dollar Lake fire still going. Willow Creek better. 43% containment on Willow Creek. That's looking a little bit better. A Nevada Team 2 spokesperson, Beth Young, said we've been getting inquiries about hunting in that area right now. It's a popular area to hunt, but hunters have been asked to stay out. Same thing with the Dollar Lake fire. It's really putting a damper on hunting season as hunters have been planning and getting ready to get into these areas, but not yet. Not into the Bridger Wilderness area near Green River Lakes. Much of that area closed for hunting and for anything else. Same thing with the Willow Creek fire. So hunters may have to pump the brakes a little bit on where they were expecting to get into the backcountry in these two fires, Willow Creek and Dollar Lake fire. They're still going. Greg Johnson has the latest update. You can read about it in the Cowboy State Daily. We'll check out a few more stories in the Cowboy State Daily right after this first break of the morning. Thanks for joining us this Friday. Coming right back.
Wyoming is a big state. There's so much ground to cover, so many stories to tell. But the Cowboy State Daily News team is up to the challenge. I'm Wendy Core, host of Cowboy State Daily Video News. Whether it's politics in Cheyenne, energy issues in the Powder River Basin, or grizzlies in Yellowstone, our talented crew of experienced journalists are out there finding and telling the stories that matter. What's the best restaurant in DuBois? Renee Jean checks it out. What's the most recent Supreme Court decision mean to our everyday lives? Claire McFarland explains. How is the upcoming elk hunting season shaping up? Mark Hines lets us know. Every day, I talk to the reporters who are covering the topics, issues, and people that are important to Wyomingites, and in our daily newscast, I bring you those stories. Tune into the Cowboy State Daily Video Newscast every morning, only on CowboyStateDaily.com. This is the Cowboy State Daily Radio Network.
Hi. I'm your retirement fear. But don't be scared. You're still in pre-retirement.
Does that mean I have more time to plan?
Precisely. Here, this is pretirement.org.
Retirement savings options? Potential tax breaks.
Move.
This isn't scary. I'm doing it.
You got this.
Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane. Woo! You got this.
So as a technical sergeant, E6.
I served in Vietnam in 1969.
I am a U.S. Army veteran.
Have you ever helped a fellow veteran?
Of course.
Yes.
Try to always be there for each other.
I do my best reaching out to my brothers and sisters in arms.
Have you ever asked for help yourself?
It's always tough, right?
I can't say that I have. I mean,
if you don't have someone to kind of help you guide those thoughts, it can be really bad.
Eventually, you just can't deal with it on your own.
I guess it's a part of the military too, right? Service before self.
It was drilled in, service before self.
And you start to question, maybe people would be better off without me, When you realize that you're not alone, once you take that first step, there's so much support.
Cowboy State Daily Show with Jake. Typically, Greg Johnson is here in the first hour, and typically, Greg and I talk about sports a little bit. So we'll pretend he's here. Greg, congrats on your Colorado Rockies. They have achieved the 100-loss platform again for the fourth year in a row. It's a baseball team that's hard to root for. And then football started last night. Bizarre kind of a game. At least a bizarre beginning of a game. I don't know how many people saw this football game. Very first play of the game, two things that are very wrong with the NFL happened in the first play of the game before a snap took place. Two major problems with football happened. One, a player goes down with a season-ending injury on the kickoff. And to me, that I just don't understand how these guys get hurt so often in sports. I know football's a collision sport. I know it's physical. I really don't know how all these baseball players get hurt. And for the most part, pro athletes, including Caitlin Clark, who we learned today is done for the season. They shut her down. She played 13 games this season. That's it. She's hurt. I don't remember pro athletes getting hurt so much when I was a kid in any sport. Baseball players, they weren't hurt this much. Football players, they just toughed it out. These guys are constantly hurt. I don't know if it's too much time in the weight room and they suddenly become brittle with muscles. I mean, back in my OG boomer day, guys were smoking cigarettes in the dugout, having a beer before and after the game, and they didn't get hurt. Now, these guys are taking care of themselves. They're eating right. They have a dietitian they've hired to help them eat right. They're in the weight room 24/7. They're in the oxygen chamber. They're in the hot, cold therapy, sauna therapy. They got their own private masseuse. They got two of them, one that works days, one that works nights, and they get hurt more than anybody. What? Babe Ruth. I don't think that guy was ever hurt. Babe Ruth, every time you see a photo of him, he's got a cigar hanging out of his mouth and a beer in the other hand. He wasn't ever hurt. These guys today, man, they're so brittle, so fragile. So on the opening play last night, first play of the season of football, what a black eye for the NFL. Here's the brand new National Football League season. Very first play, the kickoff. Some guy grabs at his ankle, looked like an Achilles. I don't know. Nobody touched him. He's just running. He's just running to cover a kick. You and I could run down there and not get hurt. This pro athlete, he's getting millions of dollars, I'm sure. Well, he's on the kickoff team, so he's not getting millions of millions, but he's probably getting paid $1 million a year. And he's just running, and then falls over like he's been shot. And they cart him off. He's done for the year. Big problem with football and every sport there is right now. Is too many guys get hurt, and I don't know why. I think it's because they take care of themselves too much. There might be an overdoing of it, guys. Like, go back to the days where, look at Alexander Ovechkin, hockey. That guy's diet is horrendous. He drinks like Pepsi nonstop and eats cheese doodles. And I don't know, I forget his diet, but he doesn't get hurt very much. You can't take care of yourself to too far of a degree and you get hurt. And the second thing that happened in the football season right off the bat is the Eagles showed their true colors yet again. This is the worst franchise in all of sports. The fan base is the ugliest. 'st. And sorry if you're an Eagles fan. Well, Eagles fans are lower than low, and the Eagles are low. And I expect nothing less of the Eagles. Before the first snap, on the very first play, while some guy is writhing in pain on the ground after nobody having touched him, he couldn't run 30 yards without falling over. As this guy's being attended to, one of the Eagles players spits on the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott. Spits on him. Jalen Carter. Those two go face mask to face mask over something. They're jawing at each other. And in typical Eagle fashion, Carter spits on someone else. I know nasty things happen in the bottom of a pile in football, the loose fumble, all kinds of nasty stuff probably happens down there, biting, and I don't even want to know what. But we don't spit on each other in sports. Come on. We learned this in the playground, Jalen. But he plays for the Eagles, where spitting on your opponent is pretty much standard behavior from the Eagles. They're so disgusting. Their fans do that. This is the fan voice. Again, I'll mention this every time I mention Philadelphia. When you say, oh, you're being too hard on them, Philadelphia fans aren't that bad. You've never been to a Philly game. Baseball, football, doesn't matter. Go to a Philadelphia game wearing the other team's uniform. See how enjoyable that experience is. This is a team. Maybe I go back and look it up online to get my facts right, but I snopes this back in the day. This is a fan base where during a football game, some drunken slob of an Eagle fan had a girl that was with her family wearing the uniform of the other team. Might have been the Giants. I can't remember. They were there to root for the other team. And this drunken fan puts his finger down his throat on purpose to purposely make himself vomit on this poor 11-year-old girl in front of him. I think she was 11, 12, 13, something like that, preteen, and vomits on her on purpose. That's Eagles fans right there. And that's just how they roll. And the fans learn it, I guess, from their players who spit on their opponents. Jalen Carter was ejected in that game. He played one. He didn't even play one play. He wasn't on the kick. He didn't play one play. All he did is come out to get ready to make a play and spit on the quarterback, and they threw him out. Well, nice day's work. I don't know what he gets paid per game, but it's too much for Pro Bowl defensive lineman Jalen Carter, ejected 6 seconds into Thursday's season opener. Talk about a black eye for the National Football League. 6 seconds into the season, and you got a guy out for the year, injured. Not the National Football League can do anything about that. And then you got a guy ejected for spitting on somebody else. Real classy, real great look for football. But when it comes to the Eagles, pretty much ordinary behavior. Right, Greg? Who's supposed to be with us? Greg Johnson. More positive sports stories is Josh Allen's number being retired. That's great news. The only bad news about it is Josh didn't break the news on this show. He broke the news himself on some unknown podcast. Like, it could have been this unknown podcast, darn it. Yeah, I'm jealous. Josh made the announcement on Be a Farmer Pod. What is the name of it? I don't even know why he was on this thing. He made this surprise announcement on... is it in this story? Yeah, Like a Farmer podcast. What is that? Was on Wednesday, a day before the official announcement. So UW is scheduled to make the big announcement yesterday.
Again, game one, can't judge a team based off game one. So
that's Josh talking on What is Be a Farmer podcast and how do they have more subscribers than us? That's impossible. Like a Farmer podcast, 189,000 subscribers. This interview with Josh Allen got 10,000 views. That's not that much more than we get. On YouTube, we do, I don't know what we do, but it rivals 10,000 views. On our best days, we do 5,000, I think. Average about 4,000. So, yeah, if we had Josh Allen on, we'd do more than 10. Like a Farmer, I don't know what podcast this is, but, well, hats off to you. They sat down with Josh Allen. They got Josh to talk about Haley Steinfeld, his new wife. They got him talking about what it's like to be on Hard Knocks, HBO Hard Knocks, where they take cameras inside the organization. I don't get HBO, so I don't know what it's about. And then Josh Allen revealed, I don't know if it was pulled out of him or he just accidentally let it slip, that, oh yeah, my old alma mater is going to retire my number 17. That's big news. And then the day later, University of Wyoming confirmed the 17 will never be worn again. It should not have been worn last year. It's Evan Swoboda. Man, you got some set of brass knockers to put that number on. Was I the only one saying that? I had the 7220 guy, what's his face on the show, Cody Tucker. He sort of agreed. I said, Cody, you can't wear the number 17 in Wyoming after Josh Allen. This is before it was retired. This was last year or the year before. Evan Swoboda was the quarterback. He was in the prototype of a Josh Allen, big, strong arm guy, but hadn't done anything to show that he was going to be a Josh Allen. Like, in fact, every time he played, the disappointment was everybody said, well, he's no Josh Allen. And now he's been moved to tight end. But he put on the 17. The nerve of that guy. That's nervy. And a lot of people said, well, that just shows you Evan Swoboda is real confident in his own. No, I don't think so. That shows a real lack of situational awareness and kind of an arrogance and kind of, I don't know. But really, it reflects more on the people around Evan Swoboda who should have told him, no, you're not wearing that number, kid. You don't wear this. It's too soon. Nope. I would let that number cool off a little. And now, sure enough, it's retired. Nobody's going to wear it again. I said that when Evan Swoboda put on the 17. I said, no. The equipment manager or the guy in charge of assigning numbers and jerseys, when you go to him and say, I'd like the 17, his first reaction has got to be a hard no. Oh, nope. That one's been put behind glass for a little while. You're not wearing the 17. And the coach, certainly it ends with the coach. The coach has got to say, who is out there practicing in the number 17 after Josh? Who is that? That's the Swoboda kid. Well, tell him to take it off. You can't wear that, man. Cody Tucker was sort of with me. He's the founder, editor of 7220sports.com. Cody said, yeah, I might be a little. But I think even Cody said, it just shows his confidence. Confidence, my eye. You don't wear the 17 after Josh Allen rocked it in Laradice. Period. Now you won't officially do it. because his number is going to be retired. They'll do it on the final home game of the year, and that's going to be in November. By then, there should be a foot of snow on the field. That'll be good. So great. Josh Allen number retired as it should be. And yeah, I'm jealous of Like a Farmer podcast. And yeah, I'm jealous that nobody remembers that I said you can't wear the number 17 in brown and gold. It's just not right. And I apparently was the only one saying that. So I'm ahead of my time. If you want to get the real scoop, you can check in with Like a Farmer podcast, but I suggest the Cowboy State Daily Show with Jake.
Want to stay in touch with what's happening around Wyoming? I'm Wendy Core, host of the Cowboy State Daily video newscast. From Mountain View to Upton, from Jackson to Cheyenne, our reporters are out there finding and telling the stories that matter. Every day, I talk to the talented journalists who are covering the topics, issues, and people that are important to Wyomingites. And in our daily newscast, I bring you their stories. Tune in to Cowboy State Daily video news every morning, only on CowboyStateDaily.com.
Wyoming is a big state. There are so many stories to tell, and here at Cowboy State Daily, we pride ourselves in bringing those stories to you every day. I'm Riley Strand, videographer and production assistant for Cowboy State Daily Video News. Every day, host Wendy Core and I talk to the experienced journalists who are covering the topics, issues, and people that are important to Wyomingites. And in our daily newscast, we bring you their stories. Tune in to Cowboy State Daily Video News every morning, only on CowboyStateDaily.com.
You're listening to the Cowboy State Daily Radio Network.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill? No. You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
In today's digital world, it's hard to know who to trust. Your local TV and radio stations bring you the facts. Misinformation and deep fakes flood social media, but broadcasters deliver verified and accurate news. For news, emergency updates, sports, and entertainment, turn to your local stations. Text TV to 52886 and urge Congress to support the vital local journalism broadcasters provide.
Did you hear?
Todd's in the hospital.
Who's Todd? He got a collapsed lung from vaping. He thought it was cool.
Not cool.
Promise you won't vape, Emma. It can lead to a lifelong addiction, and we can't be friends if your lungs collapse.
Bogus.
Wacky sitcom teens aren't the best people to talk to your kid about vaping.
Hey, you got a minute?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
You know, I think we'll do a little bit of this day in history because we're so jammed up today with special guests that we're not going to be able to fit it in anywhere, I don't think. So, special treat this day in history this early. Because how can you know where you're going if you don't know where you've been? 1836 on this day, September 5th. Sam Houston elected president of the Republic of Texas. They named a sweltery, muggy, humid city after him. Sam Houston, president of the Republic of Texas, this day, 1836. Fort John Buford renamed Fort Sanders this day in 1866. It was this day in 1867 the first head of Texas Longhorn cattle was shipped out of Abilene, Kansas, giving birth to the cattle drive era and the expansion of the cattle industry of the West. Remember those long cattle drives? That's what birthed the Cowboy. In 1876, this day is when they shipped the very first Texas Longhorns out of Abilene. Oh, to be there back then, huh? That must have been some kind of life. On those big cattle drives out of Texas, all the way up through Wyoming, sometimes all the way to Montana, and then shipping these cattle when you had them fattened up out of Abilene on these rail towns. What a rowdy time. These cowboys had, for months, had seen nothing but the back end of cows. They had it with each other. They just needed to blow off steam. And then you hand them their pay at the end of that cattle drive, and they're in some town. They're in some rowdy rail town. What do you think's going to happen? Ooh, man. 1877 this day, sad day. Crazy Horse, the legend Crazy Horse, is fatally bayoneted by a U.S. soldier after resisting confinement. This happened in a guardhouse at Fort Robinson, Nebraska. Crazy Horse went down like he came in, defiant. And some random U.S. soldier who we'll never know, I guess, stabbed him with the end of his rifle with a bayonet. The wound wasn't instantly fatal. He lingered for hours after the incident while Indian leaders and officers worked together to avoid a violent outbreak. As a result, yeah, you stabbed to death Crazy Horse and you got a riot on your hands. This happened on 1877 on this day. September 5th, 1879. They'll never forget this in Cheyenne. The famed Delmonico Hotel and nearby Washington Market collapsed, killing several people. 1885 this day, U.S. Army troops arrive in Rock Springs following the anti-Chinese rioting. We told you about this all week. It was 2 days ago was the massacre. Yesterday was the day that I think the governor showed up. And then finally, U.S. troops are called in to quell the rioting. September 5th, 1894, the first Jewish wedding ever in Wyoming took place in Cheyenne on this day. 1910, this day, it's the birthday of Richard Jones. Dick Jones was born this day, 1910. He was a Wyoming state representative from 1955 through 57, and later a Wyoming state senator. Longtime state senator from 1957 through 1974. Happy birthday, Dick Jones. Also in 1910 this day, big boxing match in Thermopolis at Metheny Hall. Is that still there? In Thermop? I don't know if it is or not. I'm going to look that up. Metheny Hall, Thermopolis is I don't think it's still around. Anyway, Metheny Hall was the scene of a big prize fight back in the day featuring August Malchow fighting against challenger Patsy McKenna. Malchow eventually won the fight, but it was not without fights of its own. The victory was a technical win because the fight had to be stopped after numerous brawls in the audience commenced. The victory was given to Malchow. McKenna had actually won more rounds up to the point the fight was ended. It ended up being McKenna's last recorded professional fight, the win given to Male Chow, but the end result, the real story was the rowdies in Thermopolis could not watch a fight without also fighting. And in 1913, on this day, fire destroyed the main part of Upton, Wyoming. All these things happen on this day in history. Well, after this day in history, we usually rodeo a little bit, and I think we will once I get my act together. Western Ag Network and the Rodeo Roadshow. What do you say, Will? You ready? Will Rasmussen has the call.
It's the Rodeo Roadshow on the Western Ag Network. Hi, everybody. I'm Will Rasmussen from the Lewiston Roundup in Lewiston, Idaho, the 91st gathering of this tremendous event. I met a lady at a rodeo. Her name is Mary Milben. She was singing the national anthem at the rodeo. We'll come to find out she has sung the national anthem at 5 U.S. presidents' inauguration. We'll talk to Mary coming up next.
CattleCon 2026 heads to the heart of Nashville, February 3rd to the 5th. Music City is the place to be for the largest cattle industry event of the year, offering education, networking, and fun. Plus, you can check out the huge NCBA trade show, outstanding entertainment, and more. Go where the beef industry meets. CattleCon 2026 in Music City, downtown Nashville, February 3rd to the 5th. Visit convention.ncba.org for more.
It's time for the 2025 Wyoming State Ram Sale headed for the Wyoming State Fairgrounds in Douglas. Monday, September 8th is the deadline for all rams to be in place. There's also a sheep production workshop featuring Dr. Whit Stewart, UW Sheep Extension Specialist, followed by a free buyer and consignor appreciation supper. Tuesday, September 9th is sale day. Sale time 11 a.m. And don't forget you can also bid online via frontierlivesale.com. For all the details, check out the Wyoming Wool Growers Association's Facebook page.
And so, yes, it's been such a wonderful opportunity, certainly having the opportunity to sing for President Trump for his first inauguration, all through the first term, and then here certainly for the Republican National Convention, all through the 2004 presidential election with the president at Madison Square Garden, all kinds of great places and venues, and then to culminate all of that at the inauguration this past January, singing for him and the First Family and all of America. It was such a tremendous opportunity, and I'm proud of our president and our First Lady. I'm proud of the work that they're doing for America. He's got a tough journey here with a lot of things, but I tell you, I truly believe that the hand of God is on his life and that he's doing his very best to lead for the best of our country. And so I'm grateful for those opportunities to support him and the First Lady during this time in our country.
One of the things that I believe has made rodeo so popular is God and country, and she's all about that, isn't she? Mary Milben talking about her experiences singing for different presidents, the Republican National Convention. Little something different on the Rodeo Roadshow on the Western Ag Network. I'm Will Rasmussen.
This is the Cowboy State Daily Morning Show with Jake.
Oh, that's some hot coffee. Yeah, thank you, Will. And yeah, we're just moving our schedule around a little bit on this finally Friday to accommodate many, many guests. We got exciting things for you on the show today, including breaking news. We're going to feature, I'm not sure I'm allowed to even say it yet. Maybe we'll wait till our guest announces, but major news in the music industry. Breaking news. We'll do that later today. Tons of stuff going on. David Madison writes a story. Gillette Company has drilled down more than 3 miles into the earth. If that seems like a lot, it is. It's the deepest well ever in the United States. The drilling company that did it, well, we'll give them a shout out in a minute. 3.5 miles, almost 3.5 miles through Wyoming rock in Sweetwater County. to complete the deepest Class 6 carbon dioxide storage well ever drilled in the United States. Way to go, guys. The reason we got to go so deep is to shove a bunch of gas down there and keep it. Yeah, that's how David Madison explained it. These Class 6 wells operate at depths usually about a mile. And the Sweetwater Project pushed those boundaries by a lot, reached formations that promise even greater storage potential way down, almost 3.5 miles. These wells are used to inject carbon dioxide deep down into underground rock formations as a place of permanent storage. Well, nothing's ever permanent, but as permanent as we'll ever know. The process is known as geologic sequestration. And it's kind of the opposite, as David Madison explained, it's kind of the opposite of pulling gas out of the earth. This is shoving it back down in there to store it. Stored CO2 remains safely trapped far beneath drinking water sources and anything else. It's heavily regulated for safety. The EPA Underground Injection Control Program looks at these Class 6 wells closer than anything else. So it's got to be done right. And this company that does it should get a pat on the back. This Gillette outfit. When you need a well drilled deep, you got to call these Gillette drillers. And David Madison mentions them. They do horizontal drilling. I'm trying to find horizontal. I'm trying to cyclone drilling. That's who does it. Yeah. Cyclone Drilling out of Gillette is the company that gets down there. They call on when they need something drilled that deep. Good job, Cyclone. David Madison has the story in the Cowboy State Daily. Also in the Cowboy State Daily, the trial for the Haitian trucker accused of plowing into a crash scene is underway. It started yesterday. And we heard some eyewitness testimony that incident took place on Interstate 80 now 3 years ago, killed an EMT. This happened all the way back on December 21st, 2022, a little bit before 4 in the morning. Vehicular homicide trial for Haitian truck driver accused of killing Wyoming EMT happened. It started in Green River. The trial did. The prosecutors accused Saviel St. Jean of recklessly plowing a commercial truck into 2 emergency medical personnel who were responding to a previous crash. Already, there's black ice involved. There was one trucker that said he was following Saviel's truck and saw him wiggle out of control. The jury consists of 8 men, 5 women. One is an alternate juror if you're doing the math. Yeah, 13 doesn't work. One is an alternate. And yeah, the blue Kenworth semi-trailer with a company name Ray Logistics. Yeah, that just highlights the importance of making sure we've got real CDL licensed drivers who can speak English, who are on the job for longer than 10 months, I think. This guy was Claire McFarland has this story in the Cowboy State Daily. Trial underway in Green River yesterday for the Haitian truck driver accused of killing Wyoming EMT while driving on a New York commercial driver's license. That began That trial began yesterday. We'll keep our eye on that. Claire will keep her eye on that for sure. More coming up on the Cowboy State Daily Show in a Friday edition. We got a lot to do. Thanks for listening across the state and radio stations everywhere. And then every weekday morning, we're live on YouTube, X, Facebook. We're on the homepage, cowboystatedaily.com. Run it back on demand, archived wherever you download your favorite podcast. And don't forget, your buddy Bags carries the show on Saturdays. We'll have John Baggett on later. Right now, though, it's time for news. See you on the other side.
It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming. From the Cowboy State Daily Newsroom, I'm Wendy Core. As football season kicked off on Thursday, fueling the biggest sports gambling season in the nation, the state of Wyoming has a stake in how successful at least one major gambling company fares. The state treasurer's office confirmed that the state of Wyoming owns a little less than $111,000 worth of shares in sports gambling company DraftKings as of Wednesday. Wyoming has been investing in the company for more than 2 years, but Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland spoke to at least one member of the Wyoming legislature who doesn't like the idea of the state investing in gambling.
On the one hand, you have Senator Cale Case like, why are we investing in something that we're also regulating and working on actually revisiting the tax scheme for? And Senator Tara Nethercott, who actually chairs the Capital Finance Select Committee, was like, we are such a tiny, tiny drop in the bucket for DraftKings' global revenue that anything we do isn't going to influence our investments.
DraftKings announced it was launching online sports wagering in Wyoming in September of 2021 after the state legislature and governor approved sports betting. Wyoming was the 13th state to authorize the DraftKings online sports book. Steep, rugged terrain is slowing down progress for the more than 500 personnel fighting the nearly 16,000-acre Dollar Lake fire about 40 miles north of Pinedale. The fire continues to move, however. Cowboy State Daily's Greg Johnson reports that the blaze is burning southeast along the western edge of the Green River Lakes and within sight of Squaretop Mountain.
The Dollar Lake is only about 31% contained. That doesn't mean that they don't have fire lines around it, that they don't have control over some places, but it is still moving, and it's moving southeast along the western banks of the Green River Lakes, and it's within sight now of Squaretop Mountain. They had some rain last week, and that's helped, but it also saturates, gets things wet, gets it muddy, and makes it so they can't take trucks into places where they normally could. The firefighters say it's very steep, very rugged, and even hotshot crews are saying we can't get in there.
More containment is expected to be announced in the next couple of days, but so far no structures have been lost. Energy supporters across Wyoming are holding their breath as they wait to see how the Trump administration's continued steps against offshore and onshore wind projects will impact the industry in the Cowboy State. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., during a Tuesday cabinet meeting, announced that an interdepartmental coalition of Trump administration leaders are now collaborating on an effort to examine risks associated with offshore wind. Cowboy State Daily's Jackson Walker reports that energy supporters throughout Wyoming are concerned that the Trump administration is preparing for a fight against future wind developments.
Wyoming, being an energy dominant the way that it is, relies heavily on wind. About 20% of the state's power came from wind in 2023. So with this, some people are a little wary that there might be an impact here in the Cowboy State.
While Trump's latest actions are aimed at offshore projects and haven't yet been directed toward onshore wind farms, Wyoming insiders believe that the state is absolutely in the administration's crosshairs. I'll be back with more news right after this.
Wyoming families face big challenges and big opportunities. That's why Wyoming Family Alliance is hosting the 4th annual Wyoming Family Policy Summit on September 26th and 27th in Cheyenne. The summit opens Friday night with a gala featuring Congresswoman Harriet Hagman. On Saturday, state and national policy leaders will address pressing family issues such as parental rights, DEI in schools, and more. Reserve your seat today at wyomingfamily.org. That's wyomingfamily.org.
U.S. Representative Harriet Hageman has assumed a leading role in asserting Congress's authority to fight crime in the nation's capital and fix mismanagement by the city's officials. However, in an interview with Cowboy State Daily's Sean Berry on Thursday, the Wyoming Republican said it's premature to determine whether or not she supports a colleague's bill to abolish D.C.'s municipal government and revert to the system of total federal governance that existed prior to 1973.
I wanted to ask her several other questions, including whether she supports current legislation to abolish the council and mayor altogether and go back to the pre-1973 system